Man, I get pretty excited, but man, I'm stupid excited about this episode. You know why? Because it's not all the time that I get the opportunity to highlight our clients, people who are just dope city all on their own, and people who inspire me to keep reaching more people. Because at the end of the day, I truly 100% believe two things. One, you're either doing the damn thing or you're not. And number two, you better tell your mother flipping story, because if you don't do that, shit, someone else is going to tell it for you. Now, here's what's important. This particular guest, she's going to warm your heart just by listening to her. But more importantly, I have had the luxury of having a window view into her life between making decisions to move across the country, launching a magazine, schooling people when it comes to, as far as I'm concerned, healthcare and all things in between. And hands down, she's literally the core and one of the key definitions when it comes to, well, how do I actually just do the damn thing? So in a moment, I'm going to ask you, yes, go ahead and take out that paper and pen. Don't be dumb. Take it out. Get ready to take notes as she schools you and me on what does it mean to reinvent yourself, walk into the next chapter of you, and make decisions, even though it might hurt. Jerrica! It's Jerrica Dodd! Listen, I'm excited. Are you excited?
I am. Thank you for having me.
So, dearest Jerrica Dodd, I'm going to just get right into it, because what's so cool is I can still remember the moment when you were like, I'm going to do this. And I feel like I've heard you say that now a handful of times. And each time it's like, wow, Jerrica, you're cool. You know, it's one thing to say that we're going to do the damn thing. And it's a whole another thing to actually do it. And then to look back and then say, and then be able to look at ourselves and go, I did that. You know, if I had to, I want to get into your story in just a moment, but I want to know first, like, what's the number one thing you're proud of in the last couple of years? If you can just start there, what's the first thing that you're like, gosh, because it's been 2 years for you now, 3 years for you since you quit your job. 2 years since you quit your job, decided to pursue your business full time and do the damn thing. And you left behind a 6-figure job.
Yes.
You took a deep breath. You were like, yes, 6-figure job. So she was making 6 figures easy. She ran a super clean life, company car, flights, all of the luxuries in which people believe is the essence of life, right? And you have a home in Georgia and life is pretty good. So I want to get to what is the thing you're most proud of, but I think I need to ask this question first now that I'm here. At what moment did you say to yourself, I know I have this job. I know that I get paid thousands and thousands of dollars every month. I realize I have these things, but I have to go and do this. I gotta go. I gotta leave it all behind.
I think that moment for me was when my health was in front of me and I knew I had to make a decision, because when you're driving in a car 70 miles an hour down the highway and you fall asleep, something has to change, and something has to change very quickly. And so I had been going along to get along. So I would turn the radio up loud. I would turn the air conditioner on really cold. I would try to talk on the phone while I was driving, all in an effort to keep myself awake. But I knew eventually that was going to run out and that I had to make a decision.
Wait. I got to stop, because you said I had to keep going. I had to get along. I had to keep going along to get along. I had to keep going along to get along. Wow, that's a writer downer. Oh my God, I got to write that down myself. I had to
go along to get along.
Going, I get it. So you had to go along with the flow of what was happening and accommodate all the things, people and situations around you in order to not disrupt the environment, in order to make everyone feel even Steven, in order to pacify fears and insecurities. Yes, I get that.
Job.
And to keep the job going along, because the job wasn't about you. It was also about the people that you helped and served and the tithe that you gave at church. We're not going to talk about Usherland and my feelings about that, but you know, that pastor was like, for sure, front row Jerrica Dodd. He had your name. Listen, that pastor had your name with a gold nameplate. You don't have to confirm this. I know the truth. He had a nameplate, and it was like And it was etched in because he was like, absolutely, Jerrica, her awesome smile and those tithing dollars are coming every single Sunday. I said it, you don't have to. All right, so now we have deep breath. Jerrica Dodd did not say that. I am saying that 100%, and she is smiling and giggling because she knows it's true. All right, so now we're going along to get along. I wrote that down for myself. Success leaves clues, and gosh, that is such a true statement. Mm-hmm. So you're in this place, your health gets in front of you, and you get hit by a 2x4. Like some people, it's like, I gotta get a tap, then I need like a sign in the sky. But you and I are like, we need a 2x4 and then like the car to run over us and then it reverses. It backs, it has to back up. And then we're like, oh, I think I should do something here. Yeah. Oh, I think this is not right. Right. So walk me through kind of what that moment was for you when you were like, that's it, I'm done.
Well, I knew that the decision that I was going to make to leave my job wasn't going to be easy. When I've had to make tough decisions, one of the things that I've usually thought about, at least paused to think about, is this won't be easy. This won't be like, hey, you know what, Tiffany, this isn't working out. I'm going to have to leave. But it just doesn't usually work that way. And so it was better than I expected, but it wasn't easy because one of the things that I had to do was figure out how I was going to support myself. I mean, I don't come from a wealthy family that, with a trust fund that is able to say, you know what, take a few years off. I had to get my health fixed and take care of me all in the same time. And I didn't know how to do it. But what I did was I trusted God and I bet on me because I knew that I had not come this far through some of the things that I've come through, because this was, post brain surgery. I had not come this far to only come this far.
So wait, hold on. Yeah. Let's stop there for a moment. So I want everyone to know. So we're going to we're going to back up. So this moment in your life, and I don't know if you're listening out there and you're saying to yourself, I have a life card that's been handed to me. Tiffany, you don't understand. This, that, and the other. I can't exactly leave. I can't make these decisions for me, nor can I go and build some things. Because in a moment, Jerrica is going to tell you and walk you through some of the dope things she's built and how she's done them. But I'm going to back up a little bit because she said, oh, this is post-brain surgery. So I want to be clear. Jerrica Dodd has had her head. So she hasn't had just a little bit of brain surgery. She's had you're going to die brain surgery. We got to do this thing soon. Now, tomorrow morning. And then you've had it done more than once, correct?
Right. The first surgery was the big surgery, and then I developed an infection. So they had to open it all back up. Yeah, it's more than a notion to have the back of your head open twice.
Of course you had it open twice, right? Like, of course. Like, she's like, oh, I had an infection. Of course, because the brain surgery couldn't just go well, the gate, right? We had to have open twice. Here's what's so cool about this story. Now, she walks through this. She has brain surgery. She then has to have her head open again because it doesn't just happen smoothly. And sometimes we go through big experiences and big moments, and it's not smooth, and it's not clean, and it's not pretty. Like, it's just not. And then the downside of that is that we're constantly saying to ourselves, you know what? I think it's just me. And so therefore we tend to take a back seat to the dream. So Jerrica has her head cut open twice. And what's so funny about this is not funny. God, that's not funny. But what's so raw for me, I'm going to use the word raw, is that I can actually remember you making some statements and just in the last couple of months where you're like, you know what, Tiffany, I'm absolutely going to go ahead and do that. Kind of like how you made a decision to move, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But you're like, I can't be afraid. How can I be afraid? I've already had my head cut open twice. Like at that point in your life, at this age, there's no afraid. Afraid is done. Afraid is out the window. So I wanted to stop because sometimes we have a moment where we're like, it's either just me or I can't do it anymore. And what's such a reminder for me, even in my own life, is that we have these life cards that are handed to us, and man, they're handed to us all the time. But our willingness to continue the objective or the focus in the midst of knowing life cards are handed, because I know for a fact you dreamed before you had surgery. You had a moment of, I think I should do something else in life.
Mm-hmm.
I think I should such and whatever it might be, even if it was just a little thought. Because sometimes, like everything I live today, Do the Damn Thing Nation, was me sitting in an office going, I think I should go and help people. I think I should, what if and sometimes we're in a place where we're already at a place of success. I mean, Jerrica's making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. She has a I don't want to use the word cushy, but she's seasoned. She's liked in her industry. She had been in the pharmaceutical industry for almost 20 years.
17, yeah.
Almost 20 years. And she's kind of had it made. In theory, she could ride out the next 10, 15 years navigating plus or minus inside of the pharmacy world. Maybe she got up to, a couple $100,000 more in some side gig on the side, right? But there's this reality check where you have to actually listen to yourself, hear yourself. And every time I think about you being in this cushy place, I was in a cushy place too. I mean, mine was different. Cash flow wasn't always the consistent. You get to 7 figures and everyone thinks that you're fanning yourself. You guys weren't ready for that. Hold on, you weren't ready for that Miami part. Shit, sorry. So you guys aren't ready for that. We're not ready for that, okay? So you're fanning yourself and in fanning yourself, that you're just sitting on cash. That was not the case for me. I had a service-based business with very fixed margins. We had 15 employees. Yes, we had 3 offices, but I'll tell you what, I was at a point where I was slated to do another couple $1 million. And I remember all the time me sitting down going, I think I should be, I feel, and it was so far from where I actually was. That's the other part, right? Because you look at where your life is right now. And then you have this 2.5-second thought in the distance. Yeah. And you're like, that version of me is so different and so far from this version of me. Like, how will we really do that?
Yes, absolutely.
So give me an idea you were in the midst of, but I want to kind of stop there because you have brain surgery, you heal, you go back to work, right? And then you go back to work. And while you're at work, you're like, okay, I almost died. I think I should be thinking about my life, maybe 1% little differently. Was it a book you read? Was it a blog? Was it a service you went to? Or did you just wake up and say, I got to do me, like, here's the day?
Well, actually, I went to a retreat and we were sitting around talking, and I realized that we were talking about our dating lives, me and some other professional women. And what I realized was that the people that I had been dating were not seemingly making a commitment to be in relationship fully. And so I remember saying, they don't prioritize me. And then right after that, I had like that V8 moment where I said, but I don't prioritize myself. And it was almost like I had an experience. And even though there were other women that I was in conversation with, it's almost like I was there by myself because I was like, by golly, I don't prioritize my doggone self. And so that, I remember when I walked out, I said, this job, I got to go. And the person who was running the retreat was like, well, wait. I didn't mean to make you quit you to that. She was like, I don't know that you should do that. I was like, no, this is good. I need to prioritize me because I had been going along to get along, as I said, and driving and trying to keep working, but I'm falling asleep. I don't know what's wrong. Doctors can't figure out what's wrong. It's not some kind of fallout from the surgery 2 years before. It was all these kind of nebulous health complaints. I'm like, draw all the blood you can. Let's figure this out. And all the blood work came back normal. So what is this? What's the problem? Normal. All the blood work, normal. Nobody could find anything. I don't have narcolepsy because that's what, people, you would think narcolepsy where you just kind of drop off to sleep. No, I don't have narcolepsy. So what is the problem? And that was when I had to step back and say, you know what? I need to quit this job. And I realized all around that same time, I'm not prioritizing me. I'm running around and doing for everybody else, making sure that everybody's happy. If you were happy, I was happy. And I was losing my health in the process. And the thing that I guess if I say I have a regret, it's that it took me to my fourth decade of life to have that V8 moment and go, I don't prioritize myself. Why would anybody prioritize me if I don't prioritize me?
Man, if you, why would someone else prioritize you if you don't do it to your damn self? I agree. I know that to be true. And what's even fascinating, just listening to you, I'm thinking to myself, it's amazing how important story is. And that I teach, tell your story in 3 sentences for a very specific purpose, because it allows you to have clarity. But then what's so vital is that you start to allow yourself to remember the details in between and you share them. And as much time as I spend with you, I had no idea that you had blood work pulled and that they couldn't find anything wrong with you. Like, I'm literally like, and when you're running so fast, it's easy for you to go, well, okay, it just is what it is. Well, okay, you know what? They can't find anything. And then so you disregard it. And then it's disregarded. And at the end of the day, you're left kind of going to yourself, wait, what? But I still feel this. Am I getting crazy? Maybe I'm getting crazy. And you kind of round robin yourself into I'm crazy, but they say nothing is wrong. But I have these goals, or I'm on this hamster wheel, or I'm doing this thing. And you're like, and if you're like me, you have the pressures, right? So you have the pressures of family behind you and people who need things. And you said you'd give me $3,000 and you would pay this and this and that. You promised to take me on a trip to such, this, and it's forever. That list grew from my butt. And then you stay doing this thing that's not necessarily making you unhappy, but it doesn't allow you to prioritize yourself. It doesn't even allow you to do the damn thing or to live a life you love or build a life you love, because you're doing all this stuff for them. And then before you know it, we wake up and we have to have brain surgery the next day or in 2 weeks, as Jerrica Dodd. So you have brain surgery, you get out. How long in between that and when you actually quit your job? How long of a period of time?
It was 2 years later, because I had brain surgery in 16. In 16. And then in 18, that was when I started falling asleep driving. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I've had, what more do you want from me? I've had brain surgery. Now what? Now I'm falling asleep. I was really a little perturbed. And so I'm like, I've made the ultimate in sacrifice. I've had brain surgery. Now I'm falling asleep while I'm driving. What do you mean? I just wanted things to be all right. But I am convinced that that was my push, that because it was time to go. And I didn't want to leave because I didn't know what the other side would be. I didn't know how I would do it, what I would do, how I would make it. So it was comfortable to stay where I was falling asleep driving, but I knew eventually that wasn't going to work, because I remember thinking, I'm either going to kill myself or I'm going to kill somebody else, or both. And I love life. I want to live.
Yeah. Yeah. So 2018 comes and you're like, all right, I'm going to start this business. I'm going to do this damn thing. Okay. She didn't use those exact words, as you heard her say the word perturbed. Listen, I almost dated you, but I was like, you know what? I love me some Jerrica Dodd. So as Jerrica Dodd, if I'm like, let's just do that damn thing. And Jerrica's like, yes, I was perturbed. Okay. So sorry. So listen, it's good. It's all good. So fast forward, 2018 comes, you quit. And step number 1. So I want you to walk, because I am, selfishly, I have proud mama moments every time I look at Jerrica Dodd. And half of it is because I know how hard it is to get to a certain point in your life, a certain age, a certain just status, if you will. And then you're like, 1, I'm going to start over. 2, I'm going to allow myself to dream. I'm just going to allow myself to dream, because people are not dreaming around me. And I don't really have an example, but I can feel it. I'm going to dream. And then 3rd, I'm going to dive in, and I don't have a map or a plan. I have a want and a desire, and I have an idea for what it should be, because so many people are held back, and then they take the potential and the dreams and the ideas that they have to the grave. They're like, oh, I can't really see how it's going to work out. And it has to work out in this certain way. And if it works out in this certain way, then I'm going to leap. Then I'm going to jump. And what's so cool for me, honest to God, by me have had a front row seat, I'm like, you literally have the formula. And the formula is, it responds to this. I have this life I want to live, and I'm going to fight for it because I deserve it. Period. So 2018 comes. What's your first step?
The first step for me was taking a moment to just breathe. I had worked I'd worked in the pharmaceutical industry for 17 years. And other than a year where I experienced a layoff at one point, this was the first time that I could exhale, that I had since I had left high school, gone to college, gone to school after college, after my pharmacy degree. I had been going. This was my first time to exhale. And I did that, and I opened my eyes, and I started saying yes, because I had already trusted myself enough to leave my job. So then I began trusting that the people that showed up in front of me were for a reason. And so I remember just me leaving my job and people saying, oh, I think that this conference would be really good for you. I think this would be really awesome. And these people that were offering me these things and saying, I think I had 2 people suggest that I read the same book, and those people didn't know each other. And it happened within a week's time.
That's
and
interesting.
I remember thinking, oh, wow, that's interesting. And I remember I only read 20 pages of the book, and that was, right around that time. And it was saying, when it's time to move to your level of genius, you'll have these health problems that won't be able to be figured out. And I was on a plane, and I remember slapping the book closed like, that's it. I know I'm doing the right thing. And I never read the rest of the book. It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. But I've never read the rest of the book, because I got to that point and I was like, all these health problems that no one can figure out. And the answer was, here, take this medicine. And I never took the medicine because I was like, no, there's got to be a different way. And then I just remember, I didn't know how to tell my story. Didn't even know that I should tell a story. And I remember, being offered the opportunity to come to the stage in Las Vegas. And I had a packed week, but there was just something that I felt like when it was being introduced to me, I was like, yeah, okay. Like, you don't have to sell it to me. Like, I'll be there. Like, I just need to figure out the details. So I remember calling Delta going, I know I've got these flights already booked, but what I need you to do is get me to Las Vegas. I don't care if we have to go overnight, like red eye, whatever we need to do. And I need to be back in Atlanta. And I couldn't even come for the whole 3 days, but I know. Normally I would have said, well, I can't do all 3. So, because I don't like to miss out. But I was like, no, I'm going to go and I'm going to stay. And I mean, literally, I remember having to have to drag myself out of the building to leave, because I had a flight to catch to get back to Atlanta. I took a red eye to be in my seat at 8:00 at another conference that had been gifted to me. And I just think about that time and how I was open. I was willing to try new things. I didn't know about going to love. What? The stage? What? Story? What? Okay. All right. I'll be there. And I just remember being open to accepting new things. I didn't think it was anything that was going to harm me. No, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I wanted to see what there was. And so there were lots of opportunities that happened like that. So trusting myself, trusting other people, being open to what's possible. There are some people that won't even have a conversation because and I'm like, well, it's just a conversation. So that I will never forget that time, because it was like when I let go of one thing, I was open and ready to receive everything that was there. And it was shortly after that. So that was November. And it was in December that I said, I'm going to start coaching women pharmacists. It didn't happen until the next summer, but I said it in December, and I had no idea how I was going to do it. And then January came, and then we moved on. And you said, do these 2 things. And I remember okay, I have an assignment, do these 2 things. Stages and social media. Everything else, no, these 2 things. And so I was like, okay, I can do that. I can do 2 things. And I did. And it changed the trajectory I don't even know that I had a trajectory. I just knew that I had left my job and I had to do something. And here we go. But I was trusting enough that something was going to work out, and not just something, what was supposed to happen was going to happen. And it had. I don't count any of it as just a fly by night or happenstance. I believe that because I think we've talked before, and I've traced all the way back to the person who introduced me to the person who introduced me to you. Like it wasn't by accident. And the person that started this whole cascade, that happened back in 2017 when I had no idea that any of this that I'd even be leaving a job.
You know what's crazy about it is that as you were telling the story, I actually 100% can remember. I remember you coming to the event. I remember you being just like, I don't know who these crazy people are, in a very friendly way. You know, you had your way, you had your perturbed way, right? you had that. It's like you for sure sat there, you were quiet because you were absorbing. Mm-hmm. And I am not easy to take. If you're not... I'm not easy to take, you know, and that event, the stage was all about telling your story. And that had been our second or third time producing that event. So actually one of my favorite events we've ever done. But at the end of it, like, I really, truly respected the fact that you made a decision to come for 2 days. And then more importantly, that you were like, I can't stay for the third day, but I'm going to come get what I can get. So my lesson here that I want to share, you know, Jerrica's smart because she does this now. Like, I watch her in her own business, and she takes the most of what she can get when the opportunity arises. She doesn't miss the opportunity. She doesn't miss the opportunity to learn. But I'm the exact same way. So many people ask me questions and they're like, Tiffany, how do you da 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 da? And it's like, sometimes I wish, and I'm going to be very transparent with you as a client and with the world. Like, I think sometimes people think that I have this big matrix that's like, I'm perfectly organized and it's all planned out. And that's actually not my skill set. Like, it's not at all. I have to have people around me to help me with those things because I suck at that. I'm a visionary. But there's like a handful of tiny things that I do. And that's one of the things that I look to share because I don't miss opportunities. Period. Pandemic, no pandemic. I know it sounds crazy, but Tiffany Largy doesn't miss opportunities because I know for a fact that when the doors open, I'm meant to walk through it. And I also know that I may not get everything. You get it? Like, I may not come back with all the content or all of the aha or all of the whatever it might be. I just need 2-3 pieces of information that make me go, oh my gosh. And it revolutionizes my business. It revolutionizes my life. It revolutionizes, it's kind of like, you know, recently I interviewed a friend of mine and can't wait for his podcast to come out. But I interviewed a good friend of mine. And what was crazy is that I was traveling. It's a true story. And we talked about it live because I was talking about how I was on the East Coast. You know, I live in Los Angeles. I was on the East Coast, like literally doing a really simple, like 2-second, I got to get in and out of the East Coast and back to the West Coast. I mean, I need to get in and out of the East Coast and get back to the West Coast for mental and health reasons. That's another conversation. But he heard that I was on the East Coast and he was like, hey man, it would be great if you came and had dinner with me and my wife. Now, where they were at the time was not where I was. But I said to myself, man, when am I going to have another opportunity to have dinner? This is dinner. This is 2 hours. That's it. And I'm like, when am I going to have the opportunity? And I'm like, oh, but the flight and I need to, and you try to rationalize all the things, but it's like, if you just sit down and do the damn thing and look at the opportunity for what it is, and then leave I can't, it's not possible. I don't have the dollars. This is not the right time. It's not the right week. And all those things, I'm telling you, you leave all this shit behind. Like, the world opens up to you. I learned to disregard all of these because every time I succumbed to the things that were behind me, that was other people's insecurities, other people's demands on my life, other people's wants for me. They were never my own. And so in this moment, this is what was such a great example because that 2.5 hour dinner in a city that was far from me. And all I did is I traveled in for dinner and I left immediately when dinner was done. It's changed my entire year. It's changed just 4 or 5 key things that he said to me while we were eating and I'm drinking bourbon. And I'm like, it changed me. It's the reason why it's the reason why we have a program now called Strong. It's the reason why I started waking up at 5 a.m. You get it? It's the reason why in so many little things in our business that we've shifted. And I know for a fact, I'm going to look at a couple $100,000 over the course of my next 12 months. And I know for a fact, I'll look at millions of dollars over the next 4 or 5 years just because of those 2-3 things. And I'm like, so it's like opportunities open themselves and we're looking for the rational. But I'll tell you my greatest lesson, and Jerrica, I'd love to know your opinion on this. My greatest experience in this is that the opportunity sometimes is not logical because it's tied to your dream. And your dreams are not logical. That's why they're dreams. If they were logical, dreams are not meant to be logical. Desires are not meant to be logical. Those logical things are just goals. And they're things for us to work towards, but they don't stretch us. You don't have to stretch for a goal because you can see all of the steps. You can see all of the steps to your heart's desire. When you can't see the steps is really where the magic is. And so often it's like we miss the fact that the opportunity and the illogicalness of what they both hold is exactly what we need to be doing. And so we close up that opportunity. We go, nope, I'm not ready for you today. Right. And then opportunity's like, well, I'm tired of going to Jerrica. She always says no. Let's go hang out with Susie.
I think the thing that excites me about opportunity is the wonder that's in it. Like, you know how you look at your kids on Christmas when they were young and they're just like, their eyes are really big and they're like, wow. Like, I think that for me, having opportunity come, I'm like, wow, this is exciting. And so, obviously, I think that, anytime you have something presented, you do need to spend some time thinking through it. But I don't want to miss the wonder. I think about the experiences that I've had since November of 2018, the experiences in a state that I thought I would never, ever, ever consider moving to. I think about the wonder being on the little scooter and riding down the street when my analytical brain would be like, oh my God, this is really not the most safe thing. Like those cars are just right there in that lane and I'm right here and they can hit me. Like all of that going, but the wonder of the experience of being with people that I love, of being in a city that's just electrifying, like the wonder of that opportunity, the wonder of the opportunity to arrive in LA. Look, you're bringing tears to my eyes. The wonder of the opportunity to arrive in LA and have no agenda, but just like, I got clothes, I got people that I love, and I'm just here, and I'm going to leave the country. And I don't even know what time the plane leaves. I don't know, I know where the final destination is, but like the wonder of all of it, like that to me is what I feel most people miss out on. Because like if something could have gone wrong, something could have gone wrong if I had stayed safe at home. Something could have said somebody had broken the house, but the wonder and I remember the wonder I felt walking around the Marriott Hotel in Hong Kong going, oh my God, look at the art.
I know.
Oh my God. Like the wonder that I have experienced in my life since then of just being open, being willing to say, sure, I'll try that. Sure. But and you notice I said trust. I had to trust me. I trust other people. And once those two things happen, I'm like, you could call me tomorrow and be like, okay, I know it's a pandemic, but we're going to leave the country and it's okay.
We're rowing.
Right. I would have a lot of questions probably, but I would trust that it'll be all right. I don't know how this is going to work, but because there's wonder. And I think that that's what we miss a lot. It's not dreaming and not experiencing the wonder of life.
So, I got to tell you, I'm flashing through picture, a feeling in my head. So for those of you listening, Jerrica's talking about in our mastermind, Relentless, she we have a couple of nuances. One of them is do the damn thing travel. And so Jerrica has now traveled into California to spend time with me, but she's also traveled out of the US to travel. And what happens is they've got to land. They don't know where they're going. It's the dopest experience ever. We take care of all the details, but it's very like family-ish. This is not luxury traveling, but it is luxury traveling because it's traveling on Tiffany Largy's terms, but like everybody's like family. So all they know, they get like some random note that's like, hey, you got to be here in this city. Make sure you bring your passport. They don't get to know what their flights are, what time the flights are leaving. They get a semi schedule for, hey, this is what you got to pack. You remember? And I was like, hey, you got to pack a backpack. You guys, a backpack? You're going to be gone for 2 weeks. Yes, one backpack. And what's cool about this is that they got to Los Angeles back in December and they boarded a plane 24 hours later. And we went to Hong Kong. And then we stopped in Hong Kong, but we went to Thailand. I took them to Chiang Mai, Thailand. That's where I spiritually wanted to travel to for a long time. But then on the way back, they thought that we were going back home and they didn't know that I had bought them all tickets to then head to Hong Kong for the day. So we got to go hang out Hong Kong for the day. I was just thinking to myself, no lie, this week about when we were thrown out of that apartment complex. Do you remember the security came to us? We were walking through that residential picture. Oh, look at the window. Look at the and they were like, God, ladies, I don't know what the hell you're doing here, but we don't know what you're doing, but please leave. Just leave. Right. But it was so much fun. And, Jerrica highlighted something important. It's called trust. So she made a decision 2.5 years ago or 2 years ago to trust herself and do the damn thing and leave her job. Then she said to herself, I absolutely 100%. I know I've got this corporate job, this 6-figure possibility. She's making big money. She has a company car. She has a beautiful home. She has a great life. But she's like, I need me. I'm missing from this equation. I'm going to go pursue me. She implemented a really important kind of rule that we have here, which is you can't be half and half. You have to be all in. You have to be all in. So she could have said to herself, I'm going to do this part way. But no, that's not the way it works. You got to be all in. You have to do it at 100%. So you have to let go of what's not working so that you can get into what is working. The other side of what she did is she said, okay, great, I'm going to trust these people. So she trusts these people. She heads someone who knows somebody, somehow gets a ticket to come to one of our live events. She lives in Atlanta. She flies into Las Vegas. She sees this crazy Tiffany Largy on stage telling people all types of things. And there's no slides. It's a different experience, but it's amazing. It's literally amazing. And she makes a decision after that to come and work with us and become a private client. And what's so cool about this is that she spent the last 2 years just doing the damn thing. Like 1.5 years ago, the Jerrica Dodd that I knew or saw is oh my God, such a different animal in her head, analytical. But you know what? The second that she allowed herself to dream and dream a little bit more, it's like this creativeness and this aliveness and this colorful, amazing, I was going to use the word angel, but it is angel and it's comma like boss. That's actually what was coming after it. Stepped out. And what's so cool about this is that I want to highlight this. Jerrica Dodd she did start the coaching business. She also has an amazing business called Your Pharmacy Advocate, where she helps consumers, people who are taking 1,000 medications or they're being told they need to take 1,000 medications by doctors and pharmacists and doctors and more doctors, they come to her, they get regulated, and more importantly, they begin to live a better life. She's running 2 companies. She's also speaking around the country. She also, one of the coolest things for me is that she launched a magazine. She launched a whole flipping magazine for pharmacists that people buy. They spend cash on this. You understand what I'm saying? For the person out there who's like, oh man, I have this idea. I don't think I can do it. It's not really possible. This is going to be tough. Jerrica Dodd has an actual beautiful magazine out there in the world right now. And people pay her dollars to read it. Now, what's cool about that is that she has learned to trust herself in a brand new way. And I'll tell you what, she's not even the same animal anymore. Like, she's a totally different human. She was cool before. You were cool before, but you've reached another level of doing the damn thing and just being beautiful. And I think that that's it. So inside of story and owning your story, here's the greatest accomplishment. You stop apologizing. You stop apologizing. You stop managing other people's insecurities and their fears and their I didn't and I can't. And you really start to pay attention to your own. One of the things I'm most excited about is last year, I said to Jerrica at one of our live intensives, so we do business intensives for our clients and our Relentless Mastermind members. And when they come, it's like, yes, you might have been used to, I'm going to get this book and we're going to sit and fill out this book with some BS slides. That is not at all what our events are like. Our private small masterminds are crazy. I'm making café con leche every morning for them. We are up until 3, 4 in the morning around some dope fire. We are building things. We're being fed in our spirits in new ways. Like, it's kind of crazy, but here's one of the things that I love the most. Jerrica, do you love where you live? I like it. I was like, well, that's not what I asked. I'm pretty sure I said, do you love?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was like, and I challenged her in that moment. It was like challenge/threat. I think it was 2.
Yes. The threat backed up that challenge.
I think I want to be honest. If we're going to talk, we're walking into a new decade. Let's just be honest with this thing. And I said to her, you got to move by the end of the year. And, I'll never forget her. I'll never forget you looking at me. I'll never forget you looking at me because you were like, move. And then when I said to you, we looked out the window and where we were in the Hollywood Hills.
Beautiful.
And it was so gorgeous. I pride myself on the fact that we always have the prettiest places to stay. And we look out the window and it's literally like a movie center. Like it's like beautiful. Right. And what I remember the most at this moment is thinking to myself, she's either going to do the damn thing or she's not. So I said, Jerrica, wouldn't it be awesome if every day you lived your life and it looked like that? Because you love that.
Then you came back with more threat and you said, no, I know you. Move by September. And it was so true because you did know me, because I thought when you said move by the end of the year, like my analytical brain had already, calculated. And I was like, oh, well, end of the year, that's Christmas, that's New Year's. Who's going to move during that time? So then it'll be winter. And then I can at least buy myself time till the spring. I did in that quick moment. I was like, oh yeah, end of the year, that means next spring. And then you turned around and said, and I know you, do it by September. I was like,
absolutely. And you know what's so cool? Listen, she did it. She left. July. She left in July. She went to the West Coast, her and Pistachio. Mm-hmm. And she lived her best life out there. I remember her like just taking deep breaths, like tossing her, flipping her hair all the time. Like it was everything. And she almost didn't come back. And it reminded me of when we went to Thailand. We almost didn't get Jerrica to come back then either. But here it was great. She was like, the fact that I know that I have the option. Here's what I'm most proud of. She's officially moving this year to the West Coast. She's in the midst of, we're packing. We have house appraisal. Yes, I see. We have house appraisal. We have a real estate agent. Like we're down the hole. She's about to sell her property, but more importantly, pursue her while building her business, getting to the next level of her company. And, I'll tell you what, I had a really proud moment that we had accomplished these 2 things, that I got to witness this. So it would be one thing for me if it was just like Jerrica has gotten to the next level. And the next level was living somewhere she loves, but building a life she loves and not leaving out any of the pieces. Because your surroundings and where you physically are everything.
Yes.
The second thing is Jerrica said to me, and it got me excited and it motivated me for the next couple of months that we have left. It's like, and actually next year too, let me transparently say that. So it's like, she said, I asked her to go and pull up her profit and loss statement, her P&L. And she's like, let me go find it because That's not top of mind for her. She, she was like, I'm going to go get it. But she said, man, this was like late June or July. I don't remember, but one of the two. And she's like, I've made so far this year, halfway through the year, that I made my entire year last year.
Yeah.
And it's like, in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of battling, she's had a handful of deaths in her family. COVID is now here. She's had to deal with herself and deal with moving and deal with family. It's like in the midst of that, it's really so exciting when you can look back at yourself and your growth is quantifiable and you can touch and see it. And it's like, I know for sure one thing, it doesn't come by accident. Jerrica literally gave you the formula, like the exact, how did she do it? How did she do it? What does that look like? And what is the person who's waiting to live? What are they missing? What are they missing? So as I wrap up, let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you these 3 rapid fire questions, which we don't typically do, but I definitely want to ask this because this has been so good. I want to ask, number 1, what are you most proud of last 12 months?
I am most proud of making my place on the stage of the world, because I realized that no one was going to take a magic wand and go cha-ching, there you go. But I had to do that for myself. And so and not that it's for, for accolades or anything like that, but when I get on the phone with people and they're like, oh my God, I'm so excited to talk to you. You're everywhere. And I'm like, I am proud of that, because before I decided to take this journey, you would have heard crickets chirp when someone said, who's Jerrica Dodd? Yeah, sure, a few people knew me, but to really establish my place, I feel like I'm taking up all the room that I'm supposed to in this world. Yes. I'm not getting smaller. I am filling up the space that I was called to fill up. And I am very proud of that.
Yes, I am taking up space. She was going to say, I'm taking up space, but she didn't say the end. She didn't say the end. She left it alone because because of the word perturbed is already in here, so she can't do it. Okay, so yes, you heard her. She said, I was here at this place, but now today in my life, man, like I have created. I have the visibility, the recognition. People know me. Jerrica has thousands and thousands of followers on social media. She has people, she puts up like the color of her dog's tail. And they're like, oh my gosh, Jerrica, I got to see the color of his tail. Oh my God. This is the most fascinating thing. She literally could be like, I chipped a nail. People are like, it's Jerrica. No, but the truth is that she has people following her for a reason, because she's doing the damn thing. I'll tell you this. I'm going to have 2 more questions for you, but for the person listening, I will tell you one other thing that I know for a fact that plays a key role in Jerrica's success. She doesn't change the formula. So for herself, from a coaching perspective, if I tell her this is what we're doing, she just follows that. She doesn't try to alter it. She doesn't try to make it her own. She doesn't try to jimmy rig it. She doesn't try to leave a piece out. And she goes, I'm going to do this. That's it. I'm leaving everything else. So even if she sees other ads and webinars and people with other ideas, she's like, that stuff is great, but I'm not here for that stuff. I'm just here trying to live this life that I'm trying to live, and I'm focused. And she acknowledges her little wins. So she has a lot of little wins, and the little wins, if you miss them, then you don't get to see your big ones. So it's like, she used to create a hashtag inside of our community that says hashtag just do what she says, do what Tiffany says. And I always thought it was hilarious. But the truth is that I look back and I look at the depth of what you've accomplished, the basin of it, because now people in your family and people around you who have been close to you for years, for decades, they're looking at you going, what the hell is happening? And I stand here today super proud, because you know what? I know how easy it is to live for other people and how cool it becomes when you decide to start living for yourself. And I have had the luxury of watching the joy of being with you when our feet are up and we're looking at the mountains, the hills, the sky, the view on an elephant, on an elephant. Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't tell that story. That's for another time. You're going to be back. So on an elephant, like I have had the luxury of watching joy, and it's like, and I think that's actually, I don't think I've ever said it out loud, but that's actually the reason why I have a mastermind and why I take on private clients, or why I also build these experiences, because there's like, let me go and relax and retreat. But joy is something inside. And I think that the other half of it comes from when someone cares for you and then they create something for you. And having lived in my life for so many years where people didn't create for me and they didn't care for me. You could buy me something, but it's different when you get cared for by another human. And it's like it creates a different energy inside of you. Like it creates a totally different energy inside of you. It creates a different feeling inside of you. It creates a different just thing. It's like, it's just, you have so much more energy. Like you're just a different animal. It's like your whole self becomes renewed and you literally fly higher. So in that, for sure, Jerrica is holding up. So we just had a tiny custom book for you to put in your pocketbook where it has your name on it. And yeah, it has your name on it. And it's my new water. It's my new water container. So I send it to all of our private clients so that you could have what I have. Yes, I love you. I do. I so love you. Absolutely.
And these things are things. But if you could have seen me, I should have done one of those boomerang recordings yesterday when I opened them up, when I got in the car. I couldn't even wait to get home. I only live 5 minutes from the UPS store where my box is, but I couldn't because I knew who it was. And so I was like, oh my God, I gotta open it, because it represented more than just a cup and a notebook and a pen. It represented a little bit of love set in the box. And so I don't normally drink my bio coffee during the day. But when I realized that, I'm getting ready to talk to Tiffany, I went and got a cup, because just small things like that have come to be associated with love. So no, I don't have you here to make any cafe con leche, but I don't generally drink the bio coffee during the day. But I just finished right before we started talking, because I've come to associate that with love. And so I went and made myself a cup before we got on.
You're going to make me cry. Damn it, Jerrica. You're going to make me cry. You're going to make me cry. So I got to get myself together. I can't believe you're doing this. You're going to literally make me cry on this thing. Okay. Okay. So here's what's going to happen. On the show notes, you're going to see all types of neat things from Jerrica Dodd. We're going to make sure that you have a link. If you absolutely are saying to yourself, man, I'm so tired of these damn doctors and they're driving me up a flipping wall and they're just trying to kill me with all of this prescription medicine. It's causing reactions. I don't even know if they're right. Jerrica is probably the baddest licensed pharmacist that I've ever encountered. But for sure, I watch her teach. I know her business and her work, and she literally is schooling people in the treats. We're make sure you have a link to that there. The second thing I want to highlight is that you want to go and get connected to her, some way, shape, form, figure. She's amazing. And success leaves clues. And for sure, you want to pick up the clues that she drops, because she drops them. Third, last but not least, I absolutely would love to know I would love to know how in love with Jerrica Dodd you are, as if you're as much in love with her as I am. So you can find her at Do the Damn Thing Nation. That is dothedamnthingnation.com. That is inside of our Facebook group. She is there. I also want to highlight a couple of other things. Don't wait. Life is too damn short for us to wait. Too damn short for us to wait to do the damn thing, and it's too damn short for us to wait to not do the damn thing. And I say do the damn thing, I mean tell your story. Because telling your story catapults all of it. And Jerrica didn't dive into it today, but you did hear her talk at length about the fact that she would have never thought about telling her story, but telling her story has changed everything. It's allowed her to build her community, allowed her to build her friends, allowed her to build a life that she goes, this is my life, guys. And I love this life and I'm building it and I can see it. And the pieces that I have, they feel amazing. They feel really, really good. But it all starts with your story. So with that, I'm going to say, dearest Jerrica Dodd, I absolutely adore you. Dun, 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 dun. Bye, Hot Mama.
Bye.
Man, have I told you how glad I am that you're here? Like, real talk. Have I flippin' told you how glad I am that you are here? You have listened. This is the part of the show where I say, let's go find us, go follow us, go stalk us. But just make sure that we're connected. Head to dothedamnthing.tv, dothedamnthing.life, or just go hang out on tiffanylargy.com. If we are not friends on Facebook, if you have not liked our Instagram page, go do that, because you're going to want to see what we're doing, how we're doing, and how we're doing the damn thing daily.